On Thursday, over 200 students demonstrated at the University of Cape Town over continued registration challenges caused by fee payment delays. According to the demonstrators, UCT failed to ensure that students' registration issues were handled before classes began on Monday. The Howard College campus of the University of KwaZulu-Natal has been closed after huge numbers of people assembled on the premises again on Friday. Students clashed with private security on Thursday and rubber bullets were fired shortly afterwards. The University of the Free State Students Group have maintained their opposition to the forced vaccination program. They claim they are not anti-vaccination, but they believe students should not be forced to have the COVID-19 vaccine, and also that believe that their constitutional right to education should not be violated. Now let's make sense of these mushrooming pro-student protests across the country. We are joined by Asive Dlanjwa, spokesperson for the South African Union of Students. Asive, thank you so much for your time this morning. I mean, these are obviously very concerning. We continuously see student protests this time of the year as the academic year is expected to start. Now, we do know, as I've mentioned, that students at UCT and UKZN are protesting and they vow to continue until their demands are met. What are some of the issues that have been raised there?
Good evening, Tshepo, and I think I completely agree. It's really regrettable that every time during this time the students have to go to the lengths that they have to go to, mainly and just purely to just try and get access to their constitutional right, which is education. The reality is that there's a myriad of issues that are plaguing the sector across institutions, not only in these institutions. In fact, we are fearing for the worst as time goes on in the next upcoming few days and weeks, even with other institutions. Some of the challenges that are being faced by the sector. The first one is the issue of fees. And what we call financial exclusions. Like, for instance, at UCT, there is what they call the fee blocks. So there are students that have outstanding fees from the previous year who would then need to register now. But because of those outstanding fees, they are not able to register. Some of them, by the way, are finally left with 5 modules, 10 modules, etc. But their fees from the previous year. Some having passed every module from the previous year, but their only sin is that they cannot afford, or they could not afford even last year to pay for those fees. Number one. And number two, there's still the issue of the classes are supposed to begin as we speak. Some have already begun, some are beginning on Monday. And the fee and the NSFAS allowances still have not been paid. So the students do not have a place to sleep, they do not have anything to eat, they do not have textbooks, and these students are expected to be in class on Monday, and some of them are expected to be in class this particular week. There are also still issues of administration issues. Majority of the or a lot of institutions are wanting already to start with their classes, but they have not concluded their registration processes. Many first years still have not been registered. This is also with the case in UCT. Many students are still not registered. They have not concluded their registration processes. There are many snags in the registration process. Students are not able to get prompt responses regarding the registrations. They're not able to get academic advice that is prompt such that they're able to register. This is in UCT. You go to UKZN, the students, the same thing, the issue of the allowance is still an issue. Then there's the issue of also the administrative issues. Many students, first years, have not yet received their offers. Their registration has not been concluded. Once again, in UKZN, the students are demanding to come back to campus to register because the administrative staff are sleeping on the job. They are not responding to any emails. They are saying students must email. Students have sent countless emails to try and register. There's no response. They are calling. No one is picking up the calls. The people are sitting at home, and the students therefore want to come back to campus so that they are able to register. While the students are fighting for that in UKZN, they were shot at and arrested by mainly private security and the police. In fact, we have received reports that one of the students was shot in the eye, and that the left eye has to be removed. This was last night when we received these reports. So it is absolutely shocking and absolutely disheartening that these things are happening at UKZN, and obviously the students are calling this that the private security firm must be removed because they've carried on to brutalize students. You come to the University of the Free State, students are rejecting the mandatory vaccinations. They are saying, in fact, as we speak, every day in the gate, there are people that are vaccinating, and students are coming to vaccinate. They don't mind vaccinating, but they are saying they must not be coerced and forced against the constitutional prerogative to determine. So they do not want the mandatory vaccinations. There were also protests there, and 2 students were arrested. I think this was on Friday, pending that protest against the mandatory vaccination. There is also still the issue of allowances. Classes are supposed to begin on Monday. Students have no place to sleep. They have no textbooks. They have no food. There is also many first years, thousands of first years that were given offers. So they applied, they were accepted, given admission, then they were given offers to say you can register.
I just want to come in there. Sorry for that, Asive. I just want to come in there. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of issues around what has taken place at various institutions of higher learning. We do now have the issue of with COVID-19. There should be some kind of determination for these learners, for them to actually, or these students to actually go back into the classroom and into the lecture rooms to actually start this academic year, especially with how we've seen COVID-19 and the impact that it had on the academic year.
The reality is that the sector is leaderless. The sector is leaderless. The department, as they have done in previous years, is failing with distinction. Because, why do I say this? You rightfully capture the fact that we all know that the students have suffered endlessly under the pandemic. And majority of the sectors, even by the administration of the president, they have almost gone back to full capacity. They have almost fully opened, except for institutions of higher learning. Students are still being frustrated. You would have thought that by now, institutions would have been able to plan around ensuring that students are back on campus. We said last year that we need to begin a process whereby we are able to create some sort of guidelines for students to be able to come back onto campus. The department did not listen to us. We said it last year that on the issue of the allowances, because we began the consultation process last year, let it be concluded already last year, such that by the time the academic year begins, all these things have been sorted. There is absolutely nothing, therefore, that is currently an issue right now that we did not say it must be dealt with last year, that the students and the SRCs were willing to speak on and deliberate on last year, but the department was not forthcoming. The department has failed to coordinate the sector as it pertains to entry into campuses. Some campuses are allowing students to come and register, some are not allowing. Some students are allowing students to come and be on campus physically to get the necessary support that they deserve, in administratively, also in terms academically, and other institutions are not. So the sector is in absolute disarray and confusion, even by admission of university leaders themselves. So I think our biggest problem is that there is no sense of leadership and direction in the Department of Higher Education, and therefore now we have to find ourselves in this crisis that we are finding ourselves in.
Asive Dlanjwa, spokesperson for the South African Union of Students, thank you so much for your time this morning.